film begins with a girl named Yelena, who works as a secret agent for CIA Director Valentina. Despite her important role, she feels like her life has no real purpose. It's as if she's living in a void, a world filled with nothing but darkness. This emptiness stems from the deep sorrow she carries in her heart over the death of her sister. Here, we see Valentina in a courtroom, facing allegations that she has been conducting secret experiments to turn humans into superhumans, a practice that is illegal. In her defense, Valentina simply says, "I'm only trying to save this world because the Avengers aren't coming to save it anymore." The court then rules that every organization under Valentina's command must be thoroughly investigated. Only after that will a decision be made regarding her punishment or the withdrawal of the charges. Here, we see Yelena at a research facility in Malaysia. She's there to erase evidence that could be used against Valentina. All the other labs run by Valentina had already been destroyed on her own orders. This was the last one left. Yelena intimidates the scientist there so badly that he ends up taking his own life. Afterward, she walks out of the building and detonates it using a remote-controlled bomb. With her mission complete, Yelena visits her adoptive father, Alexei, and opens up about how empty and joyless her life feels. Alexei advises her to take on missions that actually have meaning, missions that help people and earn her respect and recognition. Yelena likes the idea. She speaks with her boss, Valentina, and tells her that she no longer wants to do covert operations. She wants to carry out missions openly in front of the world. Valentina agrees, but on one condition. Yelena must first complete one final secret mission. After that, she'll be free to make her own choices. Valentina gives her the location of a secret facility known as the Secret Place and informs her that an agent named Ava Starr is hiding inside a vault there. Ava possesses the ability to become invisible. Valentina explains that Ava is stealing something from the vault, and Yelena's job is to find out what she's stealing and then eliminate her. Yelena agrees to the mission and is then shown arriving near the secret place. When Yelena enters the vault, she doesn't see Ava anywhere, but suddenly, an agent named John attacks her. She fights back, but just then, a third agent arrives and begins attacking John. Meanwhile, Ava appears and engages in a fight with the third agent. Suddenly, she becomes visible and shoots the third agent dead. For a moment, Yelena is completely confused about what's going on. Just then, a frightened young boy named Bob shows up in front of them, and suddenly, all the vault doors shut automatically. That's when Yelena begins to realize that Valentina has betrayed her. Through this setup, Valentina has managed to eliminate all evidence against herself, and now she wants these agents dead too, because they are the only ones who know the truth about her. Yelena tells the other agents that Valentina has plotted against them and is trying to manipulate them into killing each other. Now, John, Yelena, Ava, and the scared boy are all trapped inside the vault. Ava, who can turn invisible, tries to escape, but they soon discover they're stuck because of a sound barrier locking the place down. Meanwhile, Valentina is shown ordering the vault to be destroyed with an explosion. Inside the vault, the trap group scrambles to escape. Yelena comes up with a plan. Ava will be the first to get out. To help her escape, they begin searching for the power supply of the sound barrier. As they do that, Valentina activates a timed bomb from her end. But luckily, the group finds the battery powering the sound barrier and disables it just in time. Ava manages to get out of the vault, opens the door from the outside, and rescues the other three. When Valentina finds out that the agents are still alive, she immediately gives the order to have them killed. As she reviews the CCTV footage, she spots Bob, the frightened young man who was found inside the vault. She hadn't known about him before, so she urgently asks her assistant to gather information on him. She also dispatches a group of secret agents to eliminate the survivors. What Valentina doesn't realize is that her current driver is actually Yelena's adoptive father, Alexei, who knows both the location of the vault and the entire plan. Back inside the vault, John asks Bob, "What are you doing here?" Bob replies, "I don't remember much. All I know is that I donated my blood for medical research, and then I woke up in front of all of you." John suspects Bob is lying and starts beating him, but Yelena quickly steps in to break up the fight. She says, "We can't keep going like this. If we want to get out of here, we need to work as a team." John uses his strength to break through a wall and makes his way toward the elevator, but due to a power outage, the elevator isn't working. Bob suggests an idea. What if we link arms and climb up together? another. Meanwhile, Valentina learns a shocking truth. Bob was one of the subjects of her secret experiments. As far as she remembered, all the test subjects had died, but if Bob is still alive, it means the experiment on him was actually successful. This realization stuns her. Back inside, the group manages to climb up the elevator shaft and reaches the upper level, only to find Valentina's men waiting to kill them. However, Valentina had instructed her agents to capture all 4 of them alive. Inside, Yelena tells Bob, "If you want to survive, stay close to me." Bob is clearly distressed and says, "I think all of this is happening because of something I did wrong." Yelena reassures him, "Don't think like that. We've all been through horrible things in life." To break out, Yelena sets off an explosion at the vault gate, which blows open a path, allowing Valentina's team to finally enter the vault. As the group was still talking, they suddenly heard the sound of fighting nearby. They rushed outside and saw that John had taken down all of the incoming enemies on his own. But Valentina wasn't finished. She immediately sent another squad of soldiers after them. Yelena, being a skilled fighter, sprang into action. She protected Bob from the attackers, took on all the soldiers herself, and defeated them one by one. Soon after, John joined her, and together they cleared the area. Realizing they needed to escape quickly, the group disguised themselves in the uniforms of Valentina's men and walked out in plain sight. Ava arrived with a car, and they all jumped in, racing away from the facility. But just as they were about to leave, a guard stepped in front of them and stopped the vehicle. John began talking to the guard, trying to buy time, but suddenly, Bob got out of the car with a gun in hand. He fired into the air to draw everyone's attention. It seemed he wanted to say something, but before he could speak, the guards, assuming he was a threat, opened fire on him. Valentina, watching from a distance, tried to stop her men. She wanted to see just how successful her experiment had been, but it was too late. Bob collapsed under a rain of bullets. Seeing this, Yelena and John were heartbroken. However, taking advantage of the chaos, they managed to escape. Then came a shocking twist. Despite being riddled with bullets, Bob was still alive. Miraculously, he regenerated. Every single bullet wound vanished. He stood up, perfectly healed, and when the soldiers opened fire again, he shot into the air like a rocket, rising all the way into the sky. Floating among the clouds, he seemed lost in thought until he suddenly passed out. Due to gravity, Bob plummeted back to Earth at an incredible speed, crashing into the ground with a massive explosion. The shockwave from his impact flipped Yelena and John's car over. Yelena, John, and Ava were stunned by what they had just witnessed. They stared in disbelief at Bob and the incredible powers he had displayed. That's when John finally explained, This is the result of Valentina's superhuman experiment." Meanwhile, Valentina tells her assistant to take Bob alive to the Avengers' old building. At the same time, she orders the assassination of the other 3 secret agents. On the other side, Alexei also arrives to meet Yelena and John. Yelena is shocked to see him, so Alexei tells her, "I overheard Valentina's plan to kill all of you. That's how I also learnt about the vault. Your life was in danger, so I came to warn you." They are all driving away in Alexei's car when suddenly Valentina's men appear behind them and start firing. John tries to protect them with his shield, but it's no longer working. They were close to dying, but just then, a hero named Bucky arrived. He blows up Valentina's vehicles and saves them. The scene shifts, showing Valentina and Bob. Bob is deeply disturbed by everything happening and grows even more scared upon seeing Valentina. He starts yelling at her. Valentina calmly explains, "Look, I've turned your boring life into something meaningful. You now have the strength of more than 100 men. You can do anything." As she says this, she touches his hand, and suddenly she sees his past. She experiences a terrifying memory from his childhood when enemies shot and killed his father. Valentina pulls her hand away, shaken, and then instructs her assistant to prepare for a press conference. Meanwhile, Bucky, the one who saved the 4 agents, now has them in custody. He tells them, "You'll have to testify against Valentina." They agree, but plead, "Please let us go for now." Stopping Valentina is more important. They told Bucky everything about Valentina and her secret experiments, especially how Bob had become the most powerful because of them. But up to that point, Bucky wasn't ready to believe any of it. Then, Bucky receives a call from Valentina's assistant. She tells him that Valentina is about to hold a press conference about Bob. That's when it hits Bucky. Valentina has created something truly dangerous, something that that could threaten the entire world. So he turns to the group and asks, "Will you help me stop Valentina and Bob?" Yelena responds, "We're not good people like you. How can we do this?" Bucky replies, "I used to be just like you. I've done horrible things too, but I chose to start a new life." Hearing this, they all agree to join him. Meanwhile, Valentina is shown training Bob. She's teaching him how to control everything using the power of his mind and body. At the same time, the entire team arrives at Valentina's secret facility to capture her. A fierce fight breaks out between them and Valentina's guards. Together, they manage to take down all the guards. Suddenly, Valentina's voice echoes through the speakers. "I've been waiting for you," she says. "Come upstairs." When the team reaches the upper level, Valentina welcomes them and presents Bob in a uniform, introducing him as Sentry. She claims that Sentry possesses the strength of more than 10 Avengers. She announces that a press conference will be held shortly, where Sentry will showcase his powers by fighting all of them. Valentina says that once people see his strength and performance, all charges and sanctions against her will be dropped. Yelena realizes how wrong this all is and tries to reason with Sentry. "Don't do this." But Sentry tries to convince her instead, saying, "You should join Valentina's team too." Hearing this, Alexei loses his temper and attacks Sentry, but a simple push from Sentry sends him flying into a wall. The whole team then attacks Sentry together, but he raises a single hand and easily knocks them all down. That's when Yelena realizes that even together, they can't defeat Sentry. To conserve their energy, she decides to retreat. Valentina commands Sentry to chase them down and kill them, but Sentry refuses. "I won't do that," he says. "They're no threat to me anymore. I won't follow your orders. If you want them dead, that's your problem, not mine." Yelena and her friends escape together, but inside, Yelena feels defeated. She walks away, calling herself and everyone else losers. One by one, the rest quietly leave too, disheartened by her words. Only Alexei follows her, trying to convince her not to give up. Meanwhile, we see that Sentry has started to truly feel the extent of his power, and he begins to see himself as a god. Watching this, Valentina finally realizes the horrifying truth. Sentry is becoming a danger even to her. When Valentina realized that Sentry was slipping out of her control, she decided it was time to eliminate him. She reached for her special remote to kill him, but Sentry sensed her intentions. In a swift reaction, he grabbed her by the neck. The remote slipped from her hands as Sentry began to choke her. Just before Valentina could die, her assistant picked up the remote and pressed a hidden button. Suddenly, Sentry lost consciousness, but he didn't die. Instead, he was transported into a dimension of shadows and nothingness, a void where he existed like a silhouette. He floated through the sky, his presence eerie and powerful. A guard who tried to shoot him was instantly turned into black smoke with just a wave of Sentry's hand. Helicopters approached to stop him, but he destroyed them too, turning their crews into shadowy mist. One of the helicopters crashed into a building, triggering a collapse and putting innocent lives in danger. That's when Yelena and her team sprang into action, working tirelessly to rescue people trapped in the wreckage. They moved heavy walls and debris, winning the admiration of the crowd. Applause echoed through the streets, and for a moment, they all felt a sense of peace and purpose. But peace didn't last. Sentry began to use his powers to turn people into shadows. He spread darkness and despair like a disease. Yelena knew it wouldn't be easy to stop him. In a bold move, she gave herself up to the void, surrendering to the very darkness he was made of. She too became a shadow. Alexei, devastated, lost his composure. As she regained her awareness in the shadow realm, she was hit with her most painful memory, the day her actions caused a young girl's death. Before she could process that pain, another haunting memory appeared. She kept searching for Bob. Eventually, she found him, or so she thought. She confronted him, asking, "Why didn't you stop all this?" Bob replied, "This isn't me. It's the negativity inside me. It grew from the loneliness I suffered." Yelena then witnessed Bob's painful past, especially how cruelly his father had treated him. Her heart softened. She sat beside him, holding his hand. Just as they began to connect, the darkness attacked them both. Before it could destroy them, the rest of the team arrived. They rescued Yelena and Bob and learned that this shadow realm was filled with countless rooms of painful memories. They realized the only way to save Bob was to fight through all of them. Room by room, memory by memory, they battled the worst parts of Bob's past. They eventually reached the memory where Valentina experimented on him in her lab. But instead of Bob on the table, they saw his dark shadow self, the living embodiment of all his inner negativity. That dark version began to overpower everyone. Bob finally stood up to his dark self, losing control in the process. He fought hard, but the darkness tried to remind him of his loneliness, filling him with despair. Slowly, Bob began turning into a shadow too. Just before he fully transformed, Yelena broke free and reached him. She reminded him he wasn't alone. The whole team surrounded him, holding him, telling him he was loved, that they would never leave him. With that, something changed. Bob began to believe them. The negativity inside him started to fade. The shadow version of himself began to disappear. And as the darkness lifted, the light returned to the world. The people who had turned into shadows slowly regained their human forms. Hope was reborn. The interesting twist was that Bob, due to his weak memory, had forgotten everything. Now that the entire group was united once again, they made a bold decision to put an end to Valentina once and for all. As they approached her, they saw Valentina standing near a curtain, but just as they moved in to confront her, she slipped behind it. When they followed her, they discovered something unexpected. Valentina had arranged a press conference. Before a crowd of cameras and reporters, she introduced the group as the new Avengers. She declared that all the accusations against her were false. She claimed she had been working on this project for years, positioning herself as a visionary and a hero. Yelena, however, saw through her deception. She threatened Valentina, but in her heart, Yelena felt a strange sense of peace, because finally, she had received the recognition she deserved for her mission. In the end credits, we see the new Avengers at a brand new secret base. There, they receive a command for a new mission, transmitted through a satellite feed, and with that, the movie comes to an end. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe to the channel, and comment the name of your favorite movie for a detailed breakdown. Thank you for watching.